And this isn't just literature students, guys, that make these mistakes. English students still try to use big words. Obviously, it's encouraged in any English subject, and it's still, they don't use it correctly. Sometimes it's nothing to be embarrassed about, and it's not as though you're expected to somehow be able to do something you don't have enough experience with. So don't be afraid to make mistakes. Experiment. Now we'll have a chat about isolated analysis. So we need to have the capacity to analyze unseen material. We won't have to do this in the exam, so don't stress. But this is a really good skill to practice that will really help out. Still, like you get a passage and you're developing interpretations, say you're a bit confused about where that came from and what it's directly talking about. If you have isolated analysis skills and you're able to analyze something you haven't seen before, you will be able to get through this and you will just cruise through. So, here is this quote that I love. An A+ student should be able to walk into the exam and write about any text that they have read. Slightly melodramatic, but the point's really good. We're literature students. We're used to analyzing everything, finding meaning in everything. So we should be able to do this pretty much for every single text. This is not saying that we are expected to remember quotes for these texts that we've only read once and we've never studied. But if we were presented with a passage for that text, we should be able to pick things out to analyze. And this refers to that isolated analysis. Um, so essentially, we need to be able to explain how language creates meaning. And this is a really, really good photograph for you guys here. In terms of language, we have a range of things to consider. We can look for word choices, literary techniques. We do not want to list them. Genre-specific devices, connotative language, negative, positive connotations, right? Allusions, so references to something, intertextuality, tone, and style. And in terms of meaning, again, range of things we can consider. So we have so much flexibility, um, such as thematic concerns, authorial intent, audience interpretation, alternate views, literal inferences, implied ideas. And a lot of this is going back to our pyramid that we looked at with the views and values. And of course, you can even um, mention views and values here, although it's implied through us saying authorial intent and audience interpretation. So with language, there might be some things we may not include in one essay, such as we might not mention intertextuality or allusions, say, as an example. But in terms of meaning, we probably kind of want to cover everything. Like some things will be covered a lot less in our piece, but we want to have an all-rounded interpretation, right? So we probably want to cover everything. Um, with the exception of alternate views, they're not relevant to every single piece that we do. We want them on our developing interpretation stack, but just be very mindful of that. So how to do isolated analysis in general? We'll go through the step-by-step process, guys. So we can pick out a line in the text that seems important, a line or a sentence. Then we would like to interrogate the language. So analyze all the features, word choice techniques, draw any potential connotations. Essentially, in terms of meta language terms, consider what are all the things we can find in this sentence or line, how would we name them, what is their significance, what is the most relevant things I should talk about. And then asking questions, looking for the strangeness. So questioning can look like asking yourself, what do these words mean and why? What's the significance? What could they mean in terms of the text? Or what is the author trying to establish through this language? Essentially, all of these questions lead into this one question: how is this language creating meaning, and what sort of meaning is it aiming to create? If you need the smaller like questions that are broken down to prompt yourself, use that. But if you're a student that's capable to just ask yourself, how is this language creating meaning, and get a lot out of that, you can stick to that, having all of these ideas in mind. So it's not a difficult process, guys. We zoom in into a particular piece of our, say, excerpt, and we choose the things that are important within there when we've decided what is most relevant in terms of language features, devices, etc. We question it, and this will lead into analysis sentences. How is this language creating meaning? What is this meaning? Why? So literally, what evidence? How? How is the language creating meaning? And then why should be addressing what sort of what is the point of this meaning being created? Why is this important?